Hey YouTube, this is Natural Prepper, and I was contacted by a person by the name of Dave Schmecker on YouTube, and he has a story that is pretty important and really scary, and I've got him on the phone right now, and I'm going to let Dave tell you a little bit about what has happened to him. Dave, would you like to tell us what has happened to you?
Sure. Let's begin with start with about 6 months ago. I made a request to the Veterans Hospital to see a spine specialist. The medicines I had been receiving at that time weren't being tolerated by my system, so I was hoping that I would be able to see a spine specialist or a spine surgeon actually to possibly, give me some medical advice of, or maybe helping with different medications or whatever.
Okay.
Or some other kind of treatment. And they called me back. The doctor, made that request to the main hospital with the pain management and the pain management appointment people who make the appointments called me back and said, okay, we have an appointment set up for you. It's going to be a very, pretty extensive, long appointment because it's going to involve a half hour of a psychiatrist, a half hour of a psychologist, a physical therapist, and then you will be able to see a pain management specialist. Well, I had already gone through the pain management specialist before, within the past year and a half before that. They shot me up with some hydrocortisone in my back, and they told me, see how this works out for a while, and if it doesn't work out, let us know. Well, it hadn't, and I was back to the beginning, square one, and back to where I was before, but worse so because the medications, they changed on me without even my doctor's previous knowledge. They just kind of switched, did the old switch-o, change-a-roo-o to my medications, and it wasn't, I couldn't tolerate the medications that they were giving me, so I called them back. That's what was the reasons why I called them back. Well, I also, when they returned my call and they made that appointment to me, I refused. I said to them I didn't want to see a psychiatrist and a psychologist for a spine injury. I read between the lines, I saw what was going on there. They wanted to try to get me labeled there, and I knew that, I didn't want that. I didn't want to be labeled, and I didn't want to submit to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, especially one from the VA. That could just cause problems. I kind of read between the lines there, so I said, no, I wasn't going to do that. I'll just go back to the status quo of receiving my medications from my doctor and just, do that, and I'm not going to go ahead and, pursue that anymore. Well, they never called me back with anything else either. They didn't really call me back and say, okay, well, we understand or anything. They never sent anything in writing either. It was not like they, wrote me a letter stating that that's what I had to do or
right.
Or anything. So it wasn't, I just was left hanging. Well, in the meantime, I'll jump back, I'm going to jump forward to February 5th of this year.
Okay.
I was basically experiencing some personal problems in my life. Nothing that I want to get into, but they were, personal problems, and I was dealing with them, by myself. I was dealing with them with my friends and family members or what have you. And that day, February 5th, I left my house to go visit a friend, and I went to his house, and he suggested we go to church and pray. So I thought, that was a good idea. I suggested to him, let's go to a small church. And we were looking in the phone book for a small church in the area, and we couldn't find anything. And he lived, near a church, and just happened to be a church that was located near the Veterans Hospital in West Haven, Connecticut. So I went anyway. I was like, okay, well, it's a big church, no biggie. I'll just go anyway. We'll go and pray and see what maybe the pastors there or the priests there have to say. And I was under the guise, that this was going to see a church and a priest, talk to a priest is all confidential,
Right.
I always thought that. So we did. We went there and we talked to a church, and the priest. And that's when we ended that. We went out to have breakfast. After that, I went home. Got home and saw that there was a message on my answering machine. Not a message, but I saw that how you could see the, who called you by, on your phone nowadays. You can just look and see who called you.
Yeah, caller ID.
Yeah, caller ID, that's it. So I looked and I saw the local police department had called my house, and I was curious why. So I called them back, and they said, yes, we got a call from your doctor at the VA, and he said he heard a peculiar message that was on your answering machine and wanted us to perform a wellness check on you. I said, okay, well, everything's okay here. I'm fine. No need to worry. They said, well, we still need to perform a wellness check. I said, okay, no problem. What I'll do is I'll come down to visit you. I'll come down right down to the police station right away and we can talk. I did so. I went down to the police station. I went to into the lobby and talked to the receptionist. Told them exactly why I was there, and they said, yes, we were expecting you, and just have a seat, and a police officer will be right out. So I sat down in the lobby and I waited and waited and waited, and no one came out. And I was like, okay, this is odd. I went outside. I smoked a cigarette. I was waiting for a police officer to come out and talk to me. No police officer came out. So I got a little bit, I figured I figured for some reason they were too busy or whatever. I'm going to go home and I'll call them back. So I went home. I waited a little while. I called them back. I said, okay, I was just there. No one came out to see me in the lobby, and well, where do you want to go from here? They said, well, we still want to perform. We were called away. They said we were called away and had something else going on, but we still want to perform a wellness check on you. I said, okay, I will. I'll do that. But you know something? I will meet you at the end of my street because I really don't want you to come to my house. I don't want the stigma of having a police officer in front of my house. So maybe we could just meet at the end of my street. They said, no problem. So I did. I drove my truck down to the end of my street, and I waited patiently for them to come to the end of my street, and waited and waited and waited. About another half hour came by, and they finally showed up. Two police officers showed up, and at this point in time, I was like, okay, I figured it was just going to be, they see me and let me go, and everything was, that would be that. I wasn't anxious, I wasn't impaired. I wasn't being combative. I explained to them, I'm fine, and they didn't want to hear anything of it. I went to go get into my vehicle. They said, no, Mr. Schmecker, give us the keys. You're not going to get into your vehicle. You're going to be going to a psychiatric evaluation. I was floored because I was calm. I was, I didn't give them any reason to do that. There was no reason for them to do that in the first place. And so, but I saw what was happening, and I didn't resist, because I knew if I had resisted, there would be some problems. You just don't resist police officers, especially here in this town.
Right.
If they tell you you're going to do something, you're going to have to do that, or you're going to be arrested, or worse. I didn't have a witness around with me. I was alone. I'm a single guy. I didn't have any family members around me at the time, or friends or anything around me. I was home alone, and I was meeting them, totally submitting to their every, wish. Basically, I let them, come to meet me and test me or whatever they wanted to do. But I didn't give them any reason to do what they did. They commandeered my vehicle. They said, we're going to go to your house. You're going to let us in. We are going to confiscate your weapons.
Did they have a search warrant?
I'm sorry?
Did they have a warrant?
No, they did not. I asked for a warrant. I said, you know, I let them know. I said, let this be on the record here. This is totally against my will. What you're doing is totally wrong. You're not showing me a warrant. Everything that you're doing here is totally against the law. They had nothing to say to me about that. They said, no, this is totally within the law. We are performing a wellness check on you. We think that you are acting peculiar and need to go to have a psychiatric evaluation. I don't know what to say. I was like, I saw it was coming. If I had resisted, it would have been a big problem. They had guns. I had a cane.
Right.
I was alone. They had 2 police officers and 3 medical, emergency medical staff.
And this is over a phone message.
This is over a phone message. And this message that I had to say, I am torn about revealing this message because I don't want anybody to take this into out of context. This message is in regard to a previous conversation I had with a confident friend of mine, a private message. There was, this is where I'm going to get to that. You're going to see where I'm coming, where I'm going with this.
Okay.
There was there could have been no message on that answering machine whatsoever, and it still would have ended up being the same thing. I could have had a blank message on that answering machine. Regardless, it would have still ended up with the same outcome. So they came into my house, illegally searched and looking under everything that I own, in between everything, looking for contraband of some sort, something that they could get me on.
Right.
There was nothing there at all, I submitted to everything. Then they said, you must open your safe to get your guns out so we can take your guns. And if you do not, there's going to be a problem, and we're going to bust your safe open.
Okay, now, to this point, you have completely complied. You went so far as to go to the police station for a while.
Right.
They had no warrant, and the call was made because somebody heard a voice message that they didn't like.
That was the guys. That's
the guys.
Excuse. Yep. That really is not true. What they did when I was at that church, someone called the VA because they must have had someone who knew someone at the VA. The church was in very close proximity to the West Haven Hospital, the VA hospital. So someone at that church called the VA, told them that they had a veteran there that was, I guess, experiencing some personal problems. And let me go further. When I inquired with the VA after the fact, what happened? How the heck did this happen? Why did you call the police? They said that they heard a bizarre message on my answer machine. They did not say that the church had called the VA and
right,
and all that kind of stuff. So it was basically baloney. The message I put on that answer machine were 18 words. Now, please, you must take this into context. These 18 words were meant to be heard by a friend of mine. In no way does the VA ever call my house. Meaning that what they told me, the VA told me that they called my house because I had not called them to renew my medications. That is ridiculous. I could go on forever never renewing my medications, and they wouldn't give a rat's ass about calling me. They would just let me not have my medications. They don't take their time out of their day to call each individual veteran when they don't renew their medications. That's ridiculous, but that is the excuse they gave me. So someone at that church called the Veterans Hospital, said that they had a veteran who was experiencing personal problems. The personal problems that I confided in the church there, they had no reason to, that's really doing something pretty low down.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, what those words are, and they have to be taken into context. and remain in context. They had to do with a conversation I had with a friend of mine, and they were meant to be heard only by that friend. That morning, I came back 2 hours later, and that was it. They were just there for me when I was leaving I don't own a cell phone, so in case my friend called me when I was not home and I was going to his house, he would know that I'm on my way to his house.
Okay.
Here are the exact 18 words I said in a less than 10-second time frame. I think it's poisonous staying home. I feel like COINTEL is out to get me, so I'm running. No other words were said.
Okay.
No more or no less. So, in less than 10-second message, I must ask anybody, does that justify what they did to me?
Well, to be honest with you, no matter what the message said, they had no warrant.
It was a private, exactly. It had nothing, like I said, it had nothing to do with the message. It could have been a blank message on there.
Right. Sounds to me like it was more because you didn't want to do the psychiatrist, the half-hour psychiatrist and half-hour psychology review for spine issues.
You were just waiting for something that they could do this. They knew what they were doing. It was a complete setup. It was the police department is totally complicit. They know exactly what they did. This was a total setup, and my life has basically taken a horrible turn because of it. I just met with a real estate agent this morning, and she's even told me that other people. This real estate agent has been a real estate agent in this town for a very long time, and she has even told me that other people in this town have been having problems with the police department and the town government here. They're very corrupt. So, I met with her. If anybody could sell my house, she can. She's a great real estate agent, and
so you're going to try to move over this?
I don't want to. I'm comfortable in my home. I've made my home. It's a very small home. I've made it so I could, a guy like me could just take care of it very easily. I've put everything that I need to have in it to make me as comfortable as possible. I'm just thinking survival here. I'm thinking survival for myself. And I feel as if any time anybody could say anything about me, and without due process of the law, the police could come to my door and cart me away. And I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to be carted away anymore. I'm not going to be carted away to a psychiatric evaluation or anything. Without due process of the law, it's like feeling like you're constantly, you're jumping at your own shadow.
It kind of reminds me of the warnings that we had been receiving about the NDAA laws, where if they have certain suspicions, that goes out to the wayside. No due process. Where are you at on your gun situation? Have you appealed to try to get your guns back, or?
Yes, I have, and that's another corrupt story again. I have an attorney that is working with me. The attorney is a gun rights advocate and a gun rights champion. He really is. I mean, this person is, as far as I'm concerned, probably the best attorney I could possibly have tried to find. But he's working against a system that's corrupt. He's my second attorney. The first attorney I retained did nothing, and we went to court, and the judge ruled against returning my permit or my weapons. They basically said they were going to hold my weapons for a year. My permit would stay canceled. That's it. No permit. And I had that permit for 6 years. No problems. So I retained another attorney who was more apt at battling this, and he said that he's been going up against a brick wall, trying to a stone wall. They're stonewalling him at every chance they get, under the guise of incompetency. So basically, one time he goes to, I have the paperwork. I have the paperwork that says you must, the police department must take out of their evidence locker my property and return it to another person who has a pistol permit of my choice. So anybody else I know who has a pistol permit should be able to take this paperwork that the judge, that was the decision that was handed down in the court system. They must turn those weapons over right now.
And that's not even getting done.
That's not there. He's getting stonewalled at every chance. They're under the guise of incompetency. They're saying that they don't understand the rules. They're saying that, one person is saying the rule is this, one person is saying the rule is that. It's total garbage. Then my attorney goes to the court systems, and now he knows something's up. My attorney knows now something is not right in Denmark. So he goes to the court systems and he requests a copy of the warrant that they used.
Right.
And they will not hand over a copy of the warrant. There was no warrant. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there is something is totally being corrupted there. They're obstructing justice. Even the bogus justice that the court system is handing down in the first place, they are not complying. So we are in the process right now of they've submitted another letter demanding this warrant and all the language therein of the warrant. And to this day, it still has not been given to my attorney. So they're going to most likely pursue this in the courts as a contempt of court situation. We'll see how long that takes. My attorney says, it should be something that I should get my permit, appealed, and I should be able to get back my permit and my weapons. I'll believe that when I see it. I don't believe it. I believe that there'll probably be some excuse down the road that they're just not going to ever give me back my property. And something, my property was valuable. I didn't have just one of those guns were $1,000.
Right.
I had three pistols stolen from me. And like I said, just one of them was $1,000. So I could really use that money to fight this whole bunch of crap. I'm attempting right now to reach out to find some kind of a civil rights attorney that's going to go after, this whole thing. It's disheartening. I don't have a lot of confidence. No. I could really use some confidence.
Do you feel like this, in the general context of it, do you feel like this was directly an act towards you, or do you think this is an act towards veterans in general? Like, have you heard of other veterans experiencing some of this problem, or?
Yeah, both.
Both?
I think it was both. I think it was definitely an act toward me, singling me out in that way, and also it has to do with the campaign that's taking place right now nationwide. That they're, especially with the states that the VA is, allowing this to happen. Basically, but there are some states the VA is allowing this to happen, and then there are some states that they are not allowing this to happen. It all depends on the particular state and how patriotic the people who are running the VA are in that state.
Right.
So I'm not positive, but from what I understand, New York is not complying. But we're right next door to New York, and they are doing whatever they want.
Yeah, they're doing their fair share, that's for sure. Well, Dave, we're going to try to help spread the word out and, if any of my viewers would like to reach out to you, I'm going to put some of your information below in the comment section. There might be some other people out here willing to share your story. And I would hope that if you get any big developments, shoot me a note and let me know so I can call you back and do a follow-up on this.
Yes, thank you very much. I will.
All right, Dave. Well, God bless you and good luck.
God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.